This week has not gone to plan whatsoever. I have spent all week, or as many days as I can this week, in the workshop trying to fix things, and I have fixed nothing. I thought this week was going to be the week that I get the FZ finally running, but I didn't. Despite putting in a full shift on Monday, I was in here 5 or 6 hours stripping the carbs, cleaning them, putting them in the ultrasonic, and she's still running on 2 cylinders. And I'm yet to try and balance the carbs on there to get it running properly. So when making a video with the FZ failed, I decided to pivot and thought I would make a video where I actually get my cheap Mini on the road. And there were some problems there too. When I showed you that I bought this cheap Mini a couple of weeks ago, there was a couple of problems that needed fixing, mainly the clutch. I got that done, and there turned out to be a bunch more problems that needed fixing. And I got all of those fixed, and there was just one left for me to do before I take it for an MOT. And unfortunately, I couldn't do that job either. And that was down to locking wheel nuts, because while there was a locking wheel key in the car, or at least there was a locking wheel key in the car, but it doesn't matter because it was all chewed up and it would not work with the locking wheel bolts. So I've had to wait for somebody to come out and effectively weld a nut or socket to the locking wheel bolts in order to remove them. So that has not gone to plan either. That has taken all week to get done. So because that's taken all week to get done, it meant I can't do or haven't done the job that I'm about to do on the Mini beforehand, so that I could have taken it for an MOT and taken it for its first drive and got that video done too. So with 2 out of my many projects not going to plan and lots of time wasted, I decided I would pivot and I would give you a video with the CBR that I got in a trade last week. And after starting a video with a CBR and spending a bunch of time trying to see if it runs, I realized it will start, but it's not going to run because it needs the carbs completely going through. It needs the tank completely cleaned on the inside because it is very, very rusty. And there's a bunch of other gremlins with it. So that idea pretty much went out the window after wasting another few hours messing around with that, which then meant I should make a video with the Melody. And while I have made some headway on the Melody and started making a video, the amount of time it took me to prep and paint some other bits to go on the Melody means I got about 3 or 4 minutes worth of footage for the Melody. So I actually have not fixed anything or managed to make a full video on anything this week. It has quite literally been disaster after disaster this week, but I'm not losing faith. What I've decided I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a video anyway. I'm just going to tell you what I've actually been up to this week. I've given you a brief overview and where I'm actually going from here, because things are getting a bit hectic here. And some projects, again, a bit same old, and carrying me a little bit out of my depth. All right, there's lots of stuff I can learn with these projects, but there are some things that I just don't really want to have to do. And of course, there's some things that I really have got to do to keep the channel moving forward. So, first thing on the list is the CBR. After much fiddling this week, or a bit of tinkering, I've decided the CBR is going to be sold because it only owes me 150 quid because I traded 2 abandoned projects for it, and I think I'll make a profit on it as is. I'm just going to put the fairings on it and sell it to somebody who wants that as a project, because that's going to need all the carbs going off and going through and everything, and I'm already in the middle of doing that with the FZ. So that's a bit same old, and I don't know what else is wrong with that bike, and I don't really want to find out. I think if I take a profit on that, I can put it into the other things and keeping the channel going. Which brings me to the FZ, which has really frustrated me this week. I genuinely thought I could just ultrasonic clean, make sure there's no blockages in the carbs, and I really went all in on that, which you will see in a video, which is probably going to be next week now. But I really went all in, but it's still only running on 2 cylinders, really. The other 2 are firing because they are warming up a bit, but it's completely out of sync. So I do need to balance the carbs. I've got the kit now to do that, but I just need the time and maybe a bit of help to get it done, because I don't actually know what I'm doing with balancing carbs. I've never done it before. I do want to learn because it's going to be a handy skill to have, but I've just never done it before. And then once it's actually running, we can start tidying it up and fixing the cosmetic issues that are with it. Now, sadly, the abandoned bikes are still here. I've yet to drop off the GS to the person who's having that one. However, the Suzuki and the Honda, people keep saying they're going to show up for them, and they do not show up. So I know they're rough, and I know they are immense projects for someone, but I think people are a bit scared of them because of the state that they're in. Which, I mean, is no surprise because they are terrible. But they've got to be worth something in parts, at least to someone. And then there's the Melody, which I have actually managed to get the front wheel back on, the brakes are working fine, I've painted a few other little bits that I missed out. So the Melody will be continuing very, very soon. It's been a bit of an uphill struggle because I'm on my third set of brake shoes for it, because every time they come with the wrong spring, but I've managed to get an original one now, and that is, we're making some headway on that. So things have really not gone to plan this week. I have had the best intentions of getting on with projects, finishing some things, ticking some things off the list, but every single project has fought me every step of the way this week. Which has obviously left me in a position where I'm making a video telling you about how much I have failed this week rather than what I've actually been successful with. Because, I mean, I could have done a video where I just clipped everything together of each project I've worked on this week, but it wouldn't have made much sense at all. But I thought it would have been better to give you an update on what I've been doing, where the projects are at, and what I actually want to do going forward, because there's going to be some changes to the channel. Now, I obviously love buying and selling bikes, but I'm getting to a point where I'm biting off more than I can chew, and I'm realizing it. You guys who watch the videos have realized it, and sometimes things are getting a bit messy in you, and this week is a perfect example. In fact, it is the absolute perfect example, because the only thing that worked out well this week is that I sold the Royal Enfield from last week's video, which means I took on a bike that was in a working order, just needed a little bit of attention and time spent cleaning it, and I did a quick flip and I made a big profit on it, because ultimately that bike owed me 1,200 quid plus a battery and an MOT, and I got my asking price for it of £3,000, or a little bit over that. And that is the kind of bike flipping that I love, because I made a big profit, which obviously can go back into the channel to buy more interesting bikes. But I want to only start buying bikes that need a little bit of attention so I can flip them and do my wheeler-dealery thing with them. What I don't want to keep taking on is projects like this CBR. It'll be a nice project for someone, but it's not going to be for me on this channel. Not until I am a lot more experienced than what I'm at now. So I'm going to be focusing on buying better quality bikes that I can just do a bit of wheeler dealing with, make a good video and get them gone and make a bit of money to go back into the channel. And more challenging projects like the FZ and the Melody and things like that are going to be reserved just for the Trading Up series, which hopefully, once I finish this Melody in the next couple of weeks, I can obviously get somewhat of a better bike and keep churning through those trades, and I can finally get to my Harley. But what I definitely want to do more of is my silly projects, like my Temu engine pedal bike that I did. In fact, I enjoyed that so much, I got another bike through a series of trades, and I've got another engine kit from eBay, which is a bigger engine, and we're going to modify it this time. And I'm going to take things one step further and just do some more silly projects, like a racing mower, for example. Because to me, those are a lot more fun, and I can be a lot more creative doing stuff like that than I can, for example, with the Melody or the FZ, because you've got to get the right parts for these. You can't do bikes wrong, because if you do them wrong, somebody could get hurt when I pass it on to someone, and I don't really need that on my conscience. Now, I'm not saying I can definitely do all these things, I'm just saying it's things I would like to try, or at least try to do. So even though things didn't go totally to plan this week, it has given me some clarity on what I like about doing this the most and what I definitely want the direction of the channel to be. So hopefully you don't see this as a negative, because I see this as a really big positive, because there's still going to be a lot of bike flipping going on. I'm still going to be focusing on the Trade Up Challenge, but I am going to be clearing out a lot of the projects and things that are knocking around in here, so I can get more organized and more focused and start doing some fun, ambitious projects between my wheeling and dealing. So I'm sorry to those who wanted to see me do the CBR, but I just don't have the love for that bike that I thought, I thought I could get stuck into it and I thought it would be enjoyable, but I started going through it and it's just not one for me. So it's not going to be a bike for the channel. So if anybody does want to buy a CBR project, then let me know because it is up for sale, or will be. So that does leave me out of time for the week because once again, it's Sunday and I'm up against the clock for an upload. And I thought it's best I give you the idea of where I see everything going and give you some updates. And hopefully, because I got about 3 unfinished videos this week, I may even have some additional content for you, depending how I'm doing for time later in the week. Because the Mini should be done tomorrow. The FZ should hopefully be balanced later this week. And the Melody will be very much put back together by the end of the week as well. But I guess sometimes you just got to have a shit week to see the way forward. So I hope you all stay with me and you're all excited for the slightly new direction of the channel. And I hope you'll be excited to see some actually finished projects in the next couple of weeks. So if you're excited to see me get stuck into more silly projects like a racing mower and my petrol-powered pedal bikes and things, then let me know in the comments. Or if there's any crazy ideas that you think you'd like to see me do, or at least try to do, then also make sure you let me know. And if something like a racing mower is right up your street and you're not already subscribed, then make sure you hit that subscribe button. Or if you're here for the bike stuff, then make sure you still stick around because there's still going to be a lot more bike stuff to come. But for the time being, thank you so much for watching and I'll see you in the next video.